Let's go into Lambda now and use a different approach to modify the source code. One of the more powerful features of Lambda is the ability to upload a zip file that has all of your source code incorporated and then deploy that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to, by default here, start with a author from scratch template. I'll scroll through here and say hello add. I'm going to change the runtime to Python 3.7. I'm going to leave the permissions alone. And then I'm going to go through here and set up the basic scaffolding. So last time what I did is I went to the editor in line and wrote up a Lambda function. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Visual Studio Code and a terminal to actually upload the source code. So if you see here again, you can say edit code in line, or you can say upload a zip from your desktop or upload from Amazon S3. And what's really powerful about this is that in the case of, let's say, S3, you could have code pipeline process your Lambda from, let's say, a commit that happened to GitHub. It could make sure that it passed unit tests. It could then go through and bundle that into S3 and then trigger a deployment process automatically. Or in the case of local development, you could create a zip file here, upload that zip file, and then inside of the Lambda ecosystem, you could go through and test it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to select upload a zip file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to my development environment and go ahead and create one from scratch. Okay, now that we're inside of a terminal, what I can do here is I can go through and create a basic Lambda function. So I can go and say touch, and then I can say Lambda function, like that. And now, once that's created, I can go into Visual Studio Code here, and I can take a look at what I could build. So here we go. Here's some source code, but I'm going to go to this Lambda function code here. Here we go, and I'm going to paste in this logic. So what it does is it has the right contract. So the Lambda function itself, by default, unless you change it, it needs to say Lambda handler. So that's really one requirement. The file itself needs to be called Lambda function. Again, you can change this, but just to make it easy, if you keep those two things the same, it'll be a lot simpler to upload your zip file. And now I add a doc string here that says add two numbers, and then I accept a X payload and a Y payload, and I add in the X and Y together, and then I print out that the X was passed in, the Y that was passed in, and then also the X and Y value that's summed together, and then I go through here and I return back that total. So really simple function that just adds two numbers together, but also logs each step along the way. So now that that's created and it's called Lambda function, I can go back to my terminal here and I can prepare this for deployment. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to run a zip operation. So if I do zip here, you can see I can zip Lambda function .py and create basically a bundle here. There we go. That's been created. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to CP that Lambda function to my desktop so that I can easily find it when I upload it from the console. So we'll go to desktop, and I will take that Lambda function zip and put it there. CP. Let's see. We'll CP this Lambda function to Lambda function desktop. There we go. Okay, now that that's been created, I'm going to go back to my console. Now that I've got that console ready to go, I can go to Upload Zip, and I will click this button, Function Package Upload. Notice that the file has to be 10 megabytes or smaller, or you can use S3 and you can load a larger Lambda. I'll go ahead and say Upload. I see now Lambda function zip is there. It's waiting for me. Once that's actually been selected, I say Save. And this is all I need to do to actually load in this Lambda function inside of my editor. Now that it's there, you can see again, this is the same code we had earlier. I can create a test function to test this out. So I go through here and I say, we'll say add hello. I can go and I know it needs to take an X and it needs to take a Y. And we'll make that a 1. And we'll make that a 2. These are important to make sure that they're integers because our code is expecting an integer. So we'll make that 2. There we go. And now if I save this, I can say test, look at the output, and the output should say that the response is return 3. So really this is, and also the log message here as well. Total of x1 and x2 is 3. So this is really the power of the next level up of development with Lambdas, not just toying around with maybe like a hello world function, but actually going through and giving it packages that can be part of a continuous delivery process. And really, DevOps has made a lot of strides in terms of its adoption in companies, and a core principle of DevOps is microservices. And when you're building a microservice and you're using the DevOps approach, it should be built from a continuous deployment pipeline. So really, the way that would work is that the continuous deployment pipeline would compress this file together, take it, put it directly into the Lambda ecosystem, and then register it with some kind of event, again, that you could trigger on the left here as well. So really that's the power of the Lambda ecosystem, is not just playing around with it in the console, but also bundling together a package. Another follow-up step, which we won't do right now, is you also could add in third-party libraries as well, package all those third-party libraries inside of the zip file, and then you have a complete repeatable process to deploy your package.